How's it going, everybody? I'm back in Fallout 4. I'm here to show you guys just a couple quick and easy custom junk furniture kind of builds. A couple of these things I've had in my builds before. Um, I've had a desk similar to this desk that I'm building in this video, and the shelf that I'm about to build was included in my sanctuary rebuilt series, or whatever you guys would like to call it, in my sanctuary house. Not the player home, but the sanctuary house rebuilt, the first one. Uh, all this is just some cinder blocks with plywood on top, laid across. At first, I was going to make it one high. You'll see here in a second. I go to try to put just the piece of plywood over the top, but I decided that even if I did that, it would just be way too short. You couldn't really fit a whole lot in there, so I decided to make it one cinder block higher so that you'd have more space to store things. But really, my whole idea for this was just that they're not just going to pile everything up in the settlement. They're going to want to have shelves, and sometimes, I mean, I use a lot of those just metal shelves in my builds, and I stock those. But this one I feel like is kind of a little bit more like immersive, like the settlers weren't able to find a shelf, so they just threw together one with what they had. Because, I mean, people are innovative. I mean, if settlers were to put together a house or rebuild like 10 Pine Bluffs, like if they're able to build something like that house all rebuilt, how I did in the most recent video, why would they not be able to put together a shelf? Also, right there was just a simple mistake. I just didn't even realize the angle that those had been placed. I didn't realize how wide those were. But yeah, also, I laid down another piece of plywood, but I decided that that was tall enough. Next, we're moving on to a desk type of thing. It could also work as just a table if you'd like, but I use it as a desk. I think it works real well. So it's just 3 cinder blocks tall on each side, and then I take some plywood. I realize it's a little wider than I thought, so I go ahead and do this. I get this piece that's kind of hanging, and I put it on the side so that it kind of looks like it's hanging off of the other piece of plywood. I like that because it just makes sense to me. And then next, I move on to a chair that's kind of, I just imagine they found a chair someplace and it got thrown and the legs fell off or something like that, even though all the chairs obviously have legs on them. This is kind of just a role play thing, so you just gotta kind of pretend that there's no legs. But I go ahead and I just place it on cement blocks because, I mean, instead of just sitting on the floor, you want to sit up a little bit, you just put it on some cement blocks. And I go to place it on here, and I think it's real good, and I go walk up, and it's hanging off the other edge, of course. And so I go ahead and I'm going to fix that. And then after this, I will show you guys what it looks like whenever I finally get it in place. It just takes so long, so much fidgeting to get these things to be perfect, but I finally get it. And now this next thing is just a bench kind of thing, so I place these square cinder blocks, or these cinder blocks in a square that this pallet will fit on top of, and I place these benches on a large invisible rug and put another rug out so that I can glitch it from a distance. And I go ahead and I push it underneath the pallet, and I'm just lining it up right here. But my idea for this was just they're going to throw together a bench of some kind, and I was just kind of messing around after I'd built all the previous things, thinking of other furniture I could build, and this is what I came up with. But yeah, you can see it works, and it's not too bad. But here's a final tour of all of my builds. You can see over here on the right, I've got this desk. I've decorated it, moved the chair over, uh, just because I thought that it was fitting with the desk. It's kind of all scrappy and thrown together. Uh, got a terminal for the settler to use, a radio, put some junk on top of the table, some boxes with some folders, papers, and stuff, because I mean, I want it to be like an office kind of thing. Uh, got a toolbox. I just imagined that they needed to fix that water cooler or that terminal or maybe even that radio, or maybe they've just got some things in it that they need. Next, I move over to the shelf. Um, Mainly, the shelf is just, I mean, it's just meant to be like an immersion kind of thing. And also, once you decorate these kinds of builds, it's really what makes them look whole. Uh, as you can see, I feel like it looks a lot better after you really just throw random junk on it. As you've seen in my other builds, I like to decorate a lot, and before OCD and mods like that, you really couldn't. And then last, the bench. Uh, I'll go ahead and have a seat on it in a minute just to show you guys how it does work. And I'm not 100% certain if settlers will use it. I was just really hoping that they would, but it's just an immersion thing. But if you guys like these builds or like this video, be sure to subscribe. I've got some more quick builds like this. I just recently figured out how to add commentary over these. That's why you've never seen it before. And I'll start doing this more often. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. And have a good one.